Hi everyone. Today I'm going to share with you inputs on the MSME sector, which you can define as the micro, small, and medium enterprises. This sector is governed by the Act MSMED Act 2006, which government brought in to safeguard the interest of the MSMED sectors. So when I speak about MSMED sector, there are certain limits which govern them and determine whether any enterprise can be an MSMED or not. So this MSMED Act governs the small enterprises, which actually caters to the larger corporates. As you all are aware, MSMED sector is the backbone of any economy. And when it comes to Indian economy, with the large workforce of the Indian economy still working with primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors, there is a lot of emphasis which the ministry has been laying on the MSME suppliers as such. These MSME suppliers are the handloom sectors, the cottage industries, the small scale suppliers in terms of the traders or any kind of service providers whose turnover and the investment into the plant and machinery. I will of course come back to the definitions of how we define what is a plant and machinery, how to take the turnover for determining the sector. But these are the smaller scale, but who actually caters to the larger scale demand of the bigger Indian economy or the larger picture as such. Today, in this video, I will be focusing on what is an MSMED, which sectors will get governed by MSME in terms of the turnover, the investment, like I said earlier. I will also throw some light how can you become an MSMED, the registration, although I will not cover much in detail. And then I will cover the flip side of things as to suppose if I am a corporate entity, what are the ways to mitigate the risk against the MSMED? Of late, the government has laid a lot of emphasis and given a lot of backup to the MSMED sector. Earlier, in 2006, when the act was governed, the MSME sector was not looked at very specifically. But of late, since last 5 years or half a decade, what we are finding is government is laying a lot of emphasis and giving them a lot of safeguard in terms of loans, in terms of registrations, in terms of payments, that they get the payments on time so that the working capital and the going concern of the MSMED sectors remain intact, because these are a very, very large part of our service industry today. So I have presented a brief presentation on MSMED Act 2006 and then covered what is an MSME, how do you become an MSME, and like I said, practical considerations when you are yourself a corporate, and how do the corporates safeguard their position when it comes to MSME suppliers. So I'll just quickly share my screen with all of you. Yeah, there you go. So this is a quick presentation on MSMED. Why I have kept this as MSMED is because this is governed by the MSMED Act 2006, and the full form is micro, small, and medium enterprises development, like you can see on the screen, right? So I will cover MSME, the basics of it, and the risk management for clients of MSME. So the topics to be covered today would be the definition of MSME. How do you become an MSME? So the erstwhile definition, the revised definition today, the calculation of investment and turnover limits. I will also focus on registration and documentation, although I will not go very much in detail for that. And then I will focus on the compliance and challenges for clients of MSME suppliers. Also, the practical considerations, how to mitigate the risk in terms of compliances and challenges when they are dealing with the MSME suppliers. All right. So what I am basically trying to cover today in a nutshell is how do I become an MSME? That is first. And then how on the other side of the things, suppose I'm in corporate entity, I'm dealing with an MSME. So how am I governed? What are the compliances and challenges do I have? And then some light on what are the practical considerations or the risk mitigation measures which I can take for dealing with the MSME suppliers at large. Yeah, so I will first take you through the definition of MSMED. So like I said earlier, the act was governed in 2006 and subsequently the same was revised in 2020, looking at how the government is trying to capture more and more of suppliers under MSME. Of course, the endeavor of the government as well is to give them a lot of safeguarding in terms of their investment and they get their money back on time. From the corporate angle, the law might seem a bit draconian, but the government also needs to take care of the MSME sector as well. So first I will take you through the definition. So first I will take you through what was a 2006 definition. How could you be governed as an MSME? And subsequently what revisions came in 2020. So this is a definition of the year 2006 when the act came into light. So the criteria was investment in plant and machinery or equipment only. So at that point in time, the government was just focusing and trying to see what all sectors have investment of a specified limit, after which they can be categorized into micro, small, and medium. All right. So there were two different enterprises which were covered differently. One was the manufacturing enterprises, and then you have something called as service enterprises. So there was a clear-cut line of demarcation when we discussed in 2006. If you're a micro and if you're a manufacturing enterprise, your investment has to be less than 25 lakh rupees. So when I talk about investment, this is the investment which an enterprise has done in plant and machinery or any kind of equipment for manufacturing the products which they ultimately sell to the end consumers. And like I said earlier, the end consumers can be the larger corporates or a normal person as such. But the act will continue to govern the MSME suppliers and ultimately safeguard them. When it comes to small enterprise, so investment, if it is less than 5 lakh rupees, so of course, so any enterprise who has an investment of more than 25 lakh rupees and less than 5 crore rupees will be governed as being a small enterprise. And then the larger enterprises of this leg, which is medium, who have done an investment in plant and machinery or an equipment to manufacture their produce or the sales product, if their investment is something more than 5 crore rupees and less than 10 crore rupees, are governed by the MSME and ultimately called as medium enterprises. So in 2006, so when you call about that you am an MSME, So you used to call, I am a micro manufacturing enterprise, or maybe I'm a small manufacturing enterprise, and likewise for medium as well. Now, another part of the enterprises which were governed at that point in time was service enterprises. Since you are doing a service, basically you're selling the acumen which you have or your skill set. So therefore, a lower investment limit was kept for service enterprises at that point in time. So if suppose if you're service enterprises and you have an investment of 10 lakh rupees, again, in either it is a plant or machinery, it is a equipment. Suppose I have an office setup and I have spent in equipment, suppose to an investment of maybe 9 lakh rupees, I would be called a micro service enterprise. All right. And then it comes to small. The small enterprises are which is more than 10 lakh rupees of investment and less than 2 crores of investment. Again, either it is a plant or machinery or equipment. So the major focus would be equipment when it comes to service enterprises. And then the larger chunk, or maybe the larger part, is the medium, in which the investment is more than 2 CR and less than 5 crores of rupees, right? So like I said, for manufacturing, if you are governed under MSMED, you need to tell to your clients that you are either a micro service enterprises, you are a small service enterprise, or likewise for medium service enterprise. So the rationale of the government was to cover these small enterprises who have a little to spend but are being the backbone of the economy by doing or supplying goods and services to the larger corporates or to the common man as such. Now, what changed in 2020? So 2006 the act enacted, and then in 2020 there was a revision done to the definition of micro, small, medium enterprises. So now this definition came in something around in June and was effective 1st of July 2020. The notification number is 1702 bracket E. I will share a copy of the notification as well in the comments section. You guys can refer to that. Now, the good thing which government has done in 2020 is they have first of all merged what is called as manufacturing and what is called as service. They have covered both of them. The definition was subsumed to make both of the enterprises same. Now both manufacturing and service enterprises have the same criteria in 2020. Another good thing which government has done is that they have clubbed both the turnover and the investment in plant and machinery as a composite criteria. So few sections of the suppliers had a complaint with the government is, suppose I have done an investment of 25 lakh rupees in my erstwhile era, still why am I governed by the micro enterprises? So for being a micro, it was a win-win situation for them. But to the larger corporates and the law which is being enacted for MSMED, how it governs them, how it safeguards them, it was seeming to be a very draconian law, which is where the government actually increased the limit and brought out a notification in 2020 where the rationale of the government was, I cannot cover each and every small, very small enterprises under the purview of MSME. So therefore, it needed to increase the limits to govern an MSME. So therefore, the micro limit was increased in terms of investment and a new turnover limit was added as a composite criteria. When I tell about a composite criteria, you need to be covered under both of them. So what government did is, hearing the plea of both the corporates, the micro, they increased the limit to 1 CR for investment and turnover to 5 crores. Now what happens? Why this limit increase? Any supplier or any manufacturing enterprises who has an investment less than a crore or a turnover less than 5 crores, both seen together, are can be covered in terms of micro, right? So anything less than investment and turnover, looked at both together, investment less than 1 crore, turnover less than 5 crore, will be governed as micro. Similar for small and medium. So small, the composite criteria is investment less than 10 crores, higher than 1 crore, and turnover less than 50 crores, higher than 5 crores. So both of these things looked at together. And coming to medium now. So medium is, like I said, the larger enterprises in the category of the universe of micro, small, and medium. So investment more than 10 crores, less than 50 crores, and the turnover more than 50 crores, less than 250 crores, will be governed to be called as the medium, right? So then in the fraternity of micro, small, and medium, we see that the medium enterprises are the larger of both of them, of course, by the definition and the turnover part of it. All right. Now, like I said earlier, just a point to focus is that we need to look at the composite criterion of investment and turnover to apply for the classification of an enterprise. And if the enterprises crosses if the enterprise crosses the selling limits specified for present category in either of the two criteria, it will be placed higher up. So when I tell about it will be placed higher up means, suppose the enterprise is micro today, and in the micro the investment is less than 1 crore and turnover is less than 5 crores. Suppose I breach any of the limits and my investment is 1.1 crores while my turnover continues to be less than 5 crores. What will happen is I will become a small enterprises automatically. So if the enterprises crosses the selling limit specified for present category in either of the two criteria, it will be placed higher up, but no enterprise shall be placed in lower category until it goes below the selling limit in both the categories, right? So effective 2020, another notification came is, suppose I am a small enterprise today and my investment is 10 crores and my turnover is 50 crores. Suppose my investment becomes 90 lakh rupees in one of the years while my turnover is still more than 6 crores and less than 50 crores. In that case, what will happen? I will continue to enjoy the benefits given to a small enterprises, but I will not fall below to become a micro enterprise. So the gist of the notification is, if any of the criteria overshoots the limit today, I will automatically become the higher up part of it, which is a micro can become a small can become a medium. But if I am going down the river, in that terms, my both investment and turnover should be below the limit of the lower category. In that case only, I will be demoted to a position of the lower category enterprise. So a medium to become a small has to bring down the investment less than 10 crores and my turnover should be less than 50 crores. In both the limits, if I'm able to, or my both the criterions fall below the specified limit of the one level lower category, in that minute I become a lower category enterprise. All right, I think that is clear. If there is any questions, any clarifications, please feel free to write to me in the comment box section. Now, so everybody would be having a question. I discussed a lot on what is investment, what is turnover limits, but what actually is, how do we calculate, or what is the relatable mechanism in terms of the investment in the turnover limits? So I'll just cover that in this section. So the investment in plant and machinery or equipment will be linked to the income tax returns of the years filed in the Income Tax Act 1961. So it's not that you can just take out any investment and just go to the government and tell that this is my investment. No, the self-declaration basis will not work. if you have an ITR field. So government will plug your information to the ITR and then pull out the information to see whether you can be governed under MSME or not. But there is a question which might immediately prop up in your mind, says, suppose my enterprise is a new one and I have not filed my ITR for the earlier years. In that case, how do I go ahead? So in that case, you can go ahead basis the self-declaration. In that case, you can tell to the government, I have not filed my ITR for the earlier years. Either I was not governed or I was governed, but I have not filed. So therefore, on a self-declaration basis, the investment in plant and machinery or equipment can be taken for MSME calculation limits. Like I said earlier, if no ITR filed, the self-declaration of the promoter will help the promoter here. Plant and machinery shall have the meaning assigned as per IT rules. So the definition of plant and machinery. So when it comes to the number crunching, so the number will be taken from the ITR which you have already filed. But how do we define the plant and machinery? You have to refer IT rules 1962, which includes all the tangible assets other than land and building, furniture and fixtures. So therefore, I was stressing a lot on plant and machinery or the equipment. Here, if you have invested anything into the land and building, you have invested anything into the furniture and fixtures, that will not be covered as a plant and machinery for the definition of MSME. So basically, the intent or the rationale of the government is the products or the services which you are doing today, for that you have to invest into the machine which is actually going to produce that product, and then the investment done in that plant and machinery will be governed for the calculation of plant and machinery equipment or the investment, and accordingly you will be governed for MSME. And if the enterprise is a new one, so suppose the enterprise is a new one, you have not filed the ITR earlier, so the amount of plant and machinery or slash equipment which will be taken for the computation limits, that will be excluding GST. So do not include the GST component to show a higher inflated number. The base value of the investment in plant and machinery slash equipment as governed in the IT rules 1962 will be taken or considered for the MSME definition. Now coming to the turnover limits. So I've already focused earlier, investment in plant and machinery and the turnover will be looked at in tandem. So both are a composite criteria for qualifying as a MSME. So export of goods or services or both shall be excluded. So any export which is done for exports or goods or services will be excluded for the qualification of MSME, because the intent of the government is to do a lot of services or supply the goods to the domestic industry as such. So the intent of government is to focus on the domestic industries and not on the export of goods or services. In case you're doing export, that will not be taken for the calculation of the turnover limits. Information for the turnover will be again picked from the Income Tax Act, what you would have filled in the ITR, or from the CGST or the government GST portal. So since the government GST portal will have all the calculation or all the details for the turnover will be picked from the portal of government. So basically the intent you would be trying to get is, the intent of government today is they want to link all the portals together so that there is no mismatch when it comes to turnover or the investment in plant and machinery. So the intent of government is very clear, to bring all the platforms together and then do a merging of the platforms so that the data integrity is intact when it comes to the turnover and investment for the qualification of any enterprise into MSME. The enterprises which do not have PAN will be considered on a self-declaration basis up to the period of 31st March 2021, and thereafter PAN or GST shall be mandatory. So when I'm making the video today and when this notification came in 2020 June, so effective was 1st July. So the government came with a notification is in that era in 2020, whenever the enterprises is not having the PAN, they can do it on a self-declaration basis. And once 31st March 2021 closes, by that time they have to get the PAN registration done. In case not, then they will not be able to register themselves as an MSME. Now, so we have discussed what is the definition, how do we qualify. I've discussed also on the definitions of turnover. I've discussed on the definition of investment. Now I will discuss on the registration. How do you do the registration and what are the documents which will be required to go ahead with the registration. Although I will not cover this space much in detail, everything is available on the government website, but I'll just take you through and throw some light on the concepts of registration and documentation for MSME. So registration, like I said, you can do through Udyam registration portal. It is very easy and accessible for any person to go and apply being an MSME. No fees are required for the same, and Aadhaar number is mandatory. So if you have any Aadhaar number, you have to bring it as a mandatory details, after which only you can proceed. So government has increased the Aadhaar registration linking with Aadhaar, with the PAN number, beg your pardon, with the PAN number. I think that has increased to June now. So, but still the Aadhaar number will be mandatory and automatically the PAN will be linked. But for the MSMED space, we have not heard any update as of today. So PAN number linking is also mandatory from 1st April 2021 for MSME registration as such. So the documents required, I will just quickly cover in terms of the documentation required for different enterprises, whether it is a sole proprietorship, whether it is an HUF, whether it is a company, whether it is a partnership firm, all those aspects here for the documentation required for different categories of the enterprises today. So for proprietorship, you require Aadhaar number, which should be of the proprietor. For partnership firm, Aadhaar number of the managing partner who is managing the firm will be required. For HUF, the Aadhaar number of the Karta is required. And if it is a company or a limited liability partnership or a cooperative society, or if it is a trust, then GSTIN and PAN along with its Aadhaar number of organization or authorized signatory will be required to go ahead with the registration. So in 2020, government has made it very clear that even a company whose turnover limits fall under the purview of MSME definitions updated now, the composite criterion, the company can also qualify to be a MSME now. In case the PAN is not available, the self-declaration will help till 31st March 2021, but post 1st April 2021, the same will be mandatory now. No enterprise shall file more than one Udyam registration. So suppose you have different manufacturing enterprises having different GSTINs. So all those will be included as one to release the, or maybe bring your name under the definition of MSME. So any number of activities including manufacturing or services or both may be specified or added in one Udyam registration. So suppose you are doing services under different GSTINs, you have units under different states, you are covering a lot of manufacturing activities, you are into services as well. And at an overall level, you fall under the criterion of MSME. So all the units will be governed by one MSMED number only. Please do not go and apply for different MSME numbers. So everything, please link it here, specify whatever manufacturing or services are being done, and then qualify as a MSME unit today. Now, I have covered now on what is an MSME. How do you become an MSME? What are the documentation? What is the compliance angle from an MSME to become an MSME? Now, I'll just flip the discussion now. Suppose I am a corporate entity today and I am dealing with an MSME supplier. So when I was starting the video, I focused on the point that the government is giving a lot of uh, coverage to the MSME sectors to make them the backbone of the economy. So therefore, government has come out with various compliances in terms of corporates or the larger players who take the manufactured goods or the services from our MSME suppliers to see that whether the MSME suppliers' interest is being taken care. This also helps them to make a quick database in terms of what are the MSME compliances which is not being done by the company today, and therefore tighten the knob on the company part of it so that the larger corporates can be compliant in terms of the payments of dues to MSME suppliers timely so that the MSME suppliers do not face a working capital crunch. You're aware, the small enterprises will not have so much of mammoth working capital to put into a business today and roll it on year. Or even if it is there's a shortage, they can put more and more money. No, that is not the case for every small scale enterprise. Uh, and of course, I'm not talking about the startups today who have a lot of money from the investors to burn for their services or for the manufacturing. But I'm talking about a hardcore small enterprises who have limited turnover and who can do limited investment. So therefore, it is imperative from the government end as well that they give a lot of boost or incentive to this MSME suppliers so that this can be a backbone of the economy tomorrow. Even if the corporate fails in terms of giving a good GDP growth to the economy, the MSME suppliers can be the backbone, and they can be the base, or they can continue to hold the economy firmly in terms of the GDP and in terms of the manufacturing output or services output, whatever you call that. So some compliance and challenges I will just cover here. So return filing. So government has come with a mandate of return filing, I think a couple of years ago, wherein the returns are filed with the MCA biannually. MCA is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, where financial year, the name of the MSME vendors with whom you are dealing, the PAN number of the suppliers, the amount due to the MSME, and the date from which the amount is due needs to be filled and uploaded with the MCA. So just focus that government is also asking from which date the dues is pending to be paid to the MSME supplier as such. So this is very focused approach of the government in terms of trying and understand, if I'm not paying the MSME supplier for long days, or it is an aged item in my books, therefore the working capital requirement is going to get a big hit in terms of the MSME supplier. So therefore government is asking you to fill from which day the amount is pending or due to the MSME supplier. Generally, from the bare reading of the act, the date of invoice is the date from which you need to pay to the MSME supplier. Or disclosure in notes to the financial statements. So this is another requirement of the MSME D Act 2006, wherein the buyer, whoever is subjected to audit. So generally in today's world, we see everyone is subjected to audit or gets the books audited. They need to disclose what is the unpaid amount with interest in the annual statement of accounts. So when it comes to the calculation of interest, I will throw some light in my next slide when I'm talking about the risk mitigation measures. But in case you require a detailed assessment or a detailed working on how the interest is calculated in terms of the rates which are being used, or in terms of the calculation of number of days, I can make a separate video on request. You can give your comments in the comment section, and I can make a small video for that as well. Liability of buyer to make payment. So from a plain reading of the act, the buyer has to make payments to the MSMED within 45 days from the day of acceptance or deemed acceptance. So when I call about the day of acceptance or deemed acceptance, this is generally the date of invoice. And from the date of invoice, a 15-day period is mentioned within which You need to either accept or reject the services or the goods from the MSME. In case you are not rejecting, that is called a deemed acceptance, and therefore the date of invoice will continue to hold good for the payment of MSME within 45 days from the days of acceptance, or 45 days from the day's date of invoice. Next is interest payable. If the buyer fails to pay the MSME within 45 days, the buyer needs to make payment of compound interest. Just mark my words, compound interest with monthly rests to the MSME supplier at 3 times the bank rate notified by the Reserve Bank to micro and small enterprises. So a couple of points to note here. If you are a corporate and you have to make a payment to MSME, you're not able to make it within 45 days. So a couple of points to focus here is the rate which will be charged to you to create the interest provision, or the whatever you call it, interest penalty, is 3 times the rate notified by the Reserve Bank of India, and the payment is to be done to micro and small itself. So there's a catch in the act. So act has defined the specified supplier as micro and small and not medium. So the medium enterprises, which I've been focusing on, the larger chunk, or the larger players when it comes to MSME, are not actually entitled to get interest if the payment is not done within 45 days. So government has clearly specified in the act. So just take note of this section. There's a lot of legal cases currently which the with the MSME suppliers are lodging with against the corporates with their lawyers. So in case the legal case is going on and the payment is not done within 45 days of time, the MSME supplier is entitled for interest, which is being calculated at 3 times the RBI rate, along with a penalty which the court authorities or the judge can decide, and the corporate entity has to make good of the losses of the MSME suppliers. So when it comes to the compliance and challenges, there is a lot of compliance which the government has put for the corporates, and rightly said, or rightly so, it is in the good, or it is in the interest of the MSME suppliers as such. Now, the practical considerations. So I discussed on what are the compliances, right? So there's of course our risk mitigation measures, but let me make it very clear to you is the law is very, very clear, and a lot of companies have taken a lot of legal opinions from the advocates or the advocate solicitor firms. But the one point is very, very clear is you need to make a payment to the MSME supplier within 45 days from the date of acceptance, which is generally the date of invoice. In case you have not paid the supplier within 45 days, you need to have an interest penalty created in your books, or either remit the payment to MSME suppliers with the delayed interest amount. There is no leeway in the act in terms of payment of penalty of interest to the MSME suppliers. And you have seen in the last slide, it is very, very draconian in terms 3 times RBI rate. So in the pre-COVID era, the rates used to be something around 6.5%, the base rate of RBI. Multiplied 3 times, you are entitled, or you have to pay interest at 19.5%, something like 20% of interest if you are doing a delay in payment to the MSME supplier, right? And on it, there can be a penalty if the matter goes to a legal court of law. So very, very draconian in that terms. But to safeguard of the interest of the MSME, this was something as a mandate which government had to bring in, and it can safeguard the MSME suppliers as such. Like I said, the government sees them as the backbone of the economy. So therefore, I'll just quickly cover what can be the practical considerations and mitigation measures. So this is from the practical experiences when we see or work with the companies. So from that perspective, I'll just quickly cover that. So IT system changes implementation to track MSME suppliers exclusively. So in your IT system, whether you're using an SAP, you are using a PeopleSoft, you're using Tally, there are a number of softwares available today in the software fraternity for financial accounting. In that, you can just tweak, or you can have a patch in the software wherein any MSME suppliers is there. You can tag the payment terms days for the MSME, And as soon as the payment terms are due, or maybe a 5 days a bit in advance, maybe on the 40th day, the system can notify you is these are suppliers which are pending to be paid. Why don't you make the payment today? So in case you are able to get a notification by bringing in a patch from your software supplier, probably that can be a good notification measure. So like I said, the act is very, very clear. 45 days payment is mandatory. So therefore, you cannot go with a detective kind of measure. No, it has to be a preventive measure. You cannot detect and then do a risk mitigation. No, the only option available to you is you have to be very, very proactive in terms of bringing in a preventive measure of risk. Second is timely tracking and payment within 45 days. So if your IT system is not supportive, or even if it is supportive, as soon as the notification comes, please keep the funds arranged with your cashier or with your treasury team and make the payment within 45 days of time. Another measures which companies currently, or the corporates currently, are going ahead with is the factoring. So they will outsource the payables to a outside factoring agency who will pay the MSME on time, which is within 45 days, ensuring that the corporates are compliant and within the purview of the MSME Act. Also, the factors can charge you a minimal amount of interest, but when you look at from a cost and benefit analysis, 19.5 to 20% interest in the pre-COVID era, in the post-COVID era, something around 13-14% is a very, very high amount of interest. But if you go with these factors, they can ensure that you are compliant with the law, and then on a trade between the cost and benefit, the factors have been doing a good role in terms of saving a lot of interest, penalty, and cost for the larger corporates. Relationship management, another thing which I have seen handy in the days in the of late, is the relationship management between the client and the MSME suppliers is doing wonders. There's a lot of focus currently being given to this. So sometimes, uh, since the client is a larger client and MSMED also has to survive, they will sign an agreement as a back to back. So once the corporate gets the payment from the client, then they will go and pay to the MSME. At the same time, MSMED, even if not getting within 45 days of payments in time, they will not go and put a legal notice to the company, but they will wait, and the relationship management has been handy in most of the cases what we have seen. Another thing is biannual certificate collection from the MSME suppliers. After 2020 enactment and from a composite benchmarking of the MSME suppliers, what we have seen is the categorization of the MSME suppliers keep on fluctuating. So a supplier can be micro in one of the years. Suppose it is crossing the limits, one of the limits, like I said earlier, it can become a small, further up medium, and for going down the ladder they have to breach both the limits and come down the ladder, or maybe the earlier part, right? So in that case, the corporates, if they continue to take biannual certification, suppose small enterprises today is becoming a medium tomorrow, right? So therefore, as per the act, you are not entitled to pay interest to the medium enterprises. So therefore, the corporates can have some savings in that part. So taking certification from the MSME suppliers on a biannual basis can be a bit handy here. It is a double whammy, if you ask me. Double whammy in the sense, it might so happen that some of the suppliers might go to a higher category, some of the suppliers can come down a higher category. But if we remain optimistic, what we have found is the few of the suppliers from small became medium, and therefore the interest penalty on the company reduced by a larger margin. So certification from MSME suppliers on a biannual basis is a very, very good mechanism from compliance perspective, and also looking at the interest penalty tomorrow which you are sitting on. And then one other measure, you can link it with the factoring part of it, is pre-funding with the bank. Many of the corporates have started tying up with the banks in terms of pre-funding. So the banks will remit the pending to the MSME suppliers on time. charge a small amount of interest to the corporates and then remit the amount back to the MSMED on time and take the money from the corporates, whichever they have remitted to the MSME suppliers on a small amount of interest. So again, looking at from a trade cost perspective, where uh, you trade between the cost and benefit, the pre-funding with the bank is also turning out to be a very, very good mechanism in terms of compliance and saving the interest penalty from for that matter. On the accounting part of it, the accountants are still doing a lot of research and analysis. Suppose if I pay the MSME sector today and getting pre-funded with the bank, so a bank will continue to sit as what kind of liability, whether it will sit under the purview of MSME, or whether it will be a trade creditors for me, or whether it will turn out to be a loan from the bank that is being still mulled over. But it again depends on what is the kind of arrangement you are, or the agreement you are signing with the bank. So different facets can be looked upon, but upon practical considerations, the best agreement to sign with the bank is keep them as trade creditors and try and pay them on time and to be compliant. Because if you go with the bank and ultimately the agreement states that the bank is going to be uh, treat this as a loan to the corporate entity, in that case the debt and equity ratio might go for a toss. Because what we have seen is 30 to 40% of the minimum business is being done with MSME, and in few of the larger corporates who are working with small suppliers, for them the chunk of business is again very high. So just be a bit careful. So I've tried and throw light on what can be the practical considerations. In case you feel there can be some additions in terms of the considerations or where the corporates can mitigate the risk, please feel free to add your comments in the comment box and I can take it up. So the slides of the same will be uploaded and the link will be shared in the comment box, along with the notifications which government has come out in June 2020. Uh, for any further queries, clarifications, please continue to write in the comment box and I will reply as soon as possible once I go through the comments with the best in class and quality answers possible, with notifications or any clauses from the MSMED Act 2006. All the best, guys. Keep safe and continue to do the best.